Welcome to the final episode of Ignite, a skill-oriented web series initiated by BRAC University Business Club. My name is Ramim Ahmed, and right now I'm working in product development at BIZ. But before that, I had the wonderful opportunity of working together in a team that had an unquenchable thirst for winning business competitions. And today, on the final episode of this season, I will be giving you guys an overview of business competitions. So without further ado, let's get started. At first, let's take a look at the different types of competitions that are out there. Now, many of you will already be aware of a lot of business competitions, but one of the key differentiating factors between these competitions are their areas of focus. If you look closely, you will see that some competitions consistently focus towards one specific area. Now, that can be marketing, that can be branding, that can be finance, economics, ideation, innovation, etc. Right? If you pay close attention, you will see that sponsors and the organizing bodies are closely linked to the different types of competitions and their focus areas. So as a rule of thumb, you can take a look at the sponsor that's sponsoring that particular competition or the organization that's hosting that particular competition, and you'll get an idea of what they're expecting from you as a participant. Now, your job is to take part in as many of these as possible to figure out what you're good at. Then it's up to you to decide whether you want to be a specialist or a generalist. Now, there are pros and cons to either. Most of you might think that it's very easy to be a specialist, so you want to go for that because you might be, let's say, good at giving innovative ideas, so your focus might be that. But if you really want to be a very good business competition participant, you should have a wide array in your portfolio. That way, no matter what's thrown at you, you'll be ready for it. Next comes the structure of competitions. Now, primarily there are two types. Number one, competitions where you're given the case on the day of the presentation itself with a prep time of maybe 2 hours or so, and competitions where you're given the case before the day of the presentation. Now, this can range from a couple of days to maybe weeks and in some cases months. So what you need to do is you need to adopt a different strategy, a different approach for each of these types of competitions. For instant case solving competitions, always remember that your prep time starts way before your actual prep time. If you've watched the third episode of Ignite, you already have a good idea of how to make a good presentation. Now, many of the competitions that fall in this category will actually allow you to bring a template from home. Now, this will not only make your slides look good, but it will also save a lot of time on the day of the competitions. And always remember, in these competitions, the judges aren't really looking for you to bring outside knowledge and information. They're looking at how you're judging the case that's given to you. So focus on methodology, focus on strategy, because that's what's going to give you the edge. For competitions with longer prep times, you have a lot more flexibility. So you can really put your foot down on research and analysis. But remember, with more time comes more expectations from the judges. So always be ready to back up your claims with data. Conduct surveys, be it online or actually going to the market directly. Interact with your target group as much as possible, because on the day of the presentation, you will have to back up everything with solid numbers. In conclusion, try to understand the different dynamics of different business competitions. Take part in them. Take part in as many business competitions as you can. Once you get the hang of it, you will get a better understanding of each different type of competition. And you will also get a better understanding of where your strengths and weaknesses lie. And then you'll know how to approach each competition uniquely. Now, let's talk about team roles and dynamics. In most cases, you'll be taking part in business competitions where you'll have to be a part of a 3-person or a 4-person team. Now, you'll need to figure out where you fit in that team. You'll have to find out where your strengths and weaknesses lie and develop them accordingly. Only then you'll be able to figure out what role you'll be playing within that team. Let's take a look at the different roles within a team. Now, there is no perfect recipe for creating the ultimate business competition team. As you start working together closely, you will get a better understanding of each other's strengths and weaknesses and play around them. That will help you develop a chemistry. Now, here are 7 roles that I believe you need to cover within your team, be it within yourself or your team members. Now, all of these roles don't need to be covered by a single individual. Rather, you should focus on 2 or perhaps 3 of these roles and then build up your strengths accordingly. The first role is that of the researcher. Now, this person is more useful in competitions where you have a long prep time. Their role is to extract as much information as possible and analyze it in a meaningful way that contributes towards your case's solution. Next comes the ideator. Now, this person is the out-of-the-box thinker. His or her job is to give out as many ideas as they can. Now, 9 out of the 10 ideas that they'll be giving you are garbage. So at some point in your life, you'll be wondering why this person is even in your team. But that 10th idea, that will be out of the world, and that is what will get you on the top step of the podium. So I believe a good ideator is integral to every single team. Then we have the problem solver. This person's job is to absorb all the information that's provided by the rest of the teammates and tie everything together to come up with a unique solution. Then we have the numbers nerd. Now, in most cases, the researcher and the numbers nerd is played by the same person because these skill sets often complement each other. However, they can be played by different individuals within the team. Now, if you haven't watched the second episode of Ignite, you should watch it right away to get a better idea of what it's like to be the numbers guy within the team. Next, we have the creatives maestro. Now, this person is in charge of every single thing that falls under the creatives bracket, be it an audio-visual, be it slide making, everything that has to deal with creatives is this person's responsibility. If you want to know more about slide making, watch out the third episode of Ignite. Then we have the devil's advocate. Now, this person's sole responsibility is to poke as many holes as they can into your solution. Now, you might really think this isn't a necessary skill, but you will see that this person plays a very crucial role in making your solution as feasible as possible and as robust as possible. On the day of the presentation, when the judges will be trying to dismantle everything that they present to you, this person will be the most crucial part of your team. And finally, we have the storyteller. Now, in your presentation, you're not just giving a business presentation to the judges, you are telling a story. If you've watched the third episode, you will see that Sadman mentions how the starting of the presentation and the ending of the presentation is very crucial, as in most cases you'll be, let's say, the third or fourth team to go and present in front of the judges. By that time, the judges will already have lost their attention span, so they might not really be looking at your presentation so minutely. So it's very crucial to have a very good storyteller. So if that person starts off the presentation with a bang, the judges will be intrigued. The judges and the audience, they'll be hyped to see the rest of the presentation. So it's very important to have a good storyteller in your team. And in ideal scenarios, there should be at least 2 good storytellers in your team. That way, you start the presentation on a high and you also end it on a high. Every team is different, but the truly great teams have 3 things in common. They have mastered all the basics, they have an impeccable team chemistry, and they have a je ne sais quoi, something that makes them truly unique. Now, once your team has mastered all these 3 traits, you'll be ready to set the stage on fire. So in conclusion, at first, figure out your role within the team and then develop yourself accordingly. Once you've mastered all the basics and built up your team chemistry, you can then discover your own unique style. The first 3 episodes of this series have given you a solid foundation to start off your business competition career. In the first episode, you got to learn about the tricks of case cracking. In the second episode, you got to learn about how to incorporate financial analysis and breakdown within your narrative. And in the third episode, you got to learn about how to be a better presenter, how to make a better presentation, and how to be a good storyteller. And in this episode, I've given you an overview of business competitions through the different types of competitions that you can take part in and your roles within the team. Now, before ending this, I'd like to give you 3 solid tips that I've found helpful in my business competition career. Number 1, always be inquisitive. No matter what, never be afraid to ask questions. Always be curious. Whenever you see something, try to go to the root cause of that problem. Whenever you see a particular company, let's say, not being successful in one country, but being successful in another, try to be inquisitive about it. Why did this company fail in this country but succeed in another? Secondly, practice makes perfect. At this point, it probably does sound like a cliche, but it's true. The more you take part in different business competitions, the better you will get at it. Your team chemistry will also develop and you will improve as an individual. Now, when you're looking forward to the next business competition, there's plenty of things that you can do to prepare. Now, one way of preparing as a team is to take a case, set a timer, and then solve the case. Then you will present either to your friends or to each other and then critique accordingly. Now this will really help you out before taking part in different competitions. Now where do you find these practice cases? Well, there are a lot of sources on the internet, but personally I used Harvard Business Cases, INSEAD and ACRC. These three are very good quality sources for getting business cases. And finally, don't be afraid to lose. One of the most common questions that I get from juniors is that why should we take part in competitions when only seniors end up winning them? Can't I take part once I go to 3rd or 4th year? Because ultimately they're the ones who are winning, right? Well, yes, in most cases we do see that 3rd year and 4th year students end up winning competitions. But do you know why they win them? Because the teams that win them were actually the teams that took part in those competitions in their 1st and 2nd year, and they lost those. And from those losses, they got their learnings. So never be afraid to lose. I started my business competition career from my 1st year. I lost my competition in that year and also ended up winning one competition within that 1st year. Now, that was unprecedented at that time. No one expected a 1st year team to win. But we ended up winning because we had lost before and we took that learning from that loss and ended up winning. And as the years went on by, we did not back down from anything. We ended up losing many more competitions, but that resulted in improving ourselves as individuals and as teams. So we ended up winning many more competitions down the line as well. So remember, never be afraid to lose. I hope this episode was able to give you an overall idea of business competitions, and the Ignite series was able to give you the fundamental skills necessary for you to start off your business competition career. Before ending, I'd like to take a moment to show my gratitude to all the speakers who were part of this platform before me. Tanzir Bhaiya, Rochi Bhaiya, Sadman. These three individuals have been inspirational for me as well. When I started off my business career, I idolized Rochi Bhaiya and Tanzir Bhaiya, who were at the peak of their careers at that point. And Sadman was my classmate at IBA, from whom I've learned so many things. These three individuals have played an immense role in my business competition career as well. And you guys are incredibly lucky to have them as your mentors. And during this period of quarantine, when everyone else is binging movies and TV series, you guys have taken the time to actually develop yourselves. So you guys also deserve a good round of applause. Hopefully, this series was able to inspire you and give you the necessary skills required to have a successful business competition career, which will not only help you in your university life, but also build a strong fundamental platform from where you can actually start your professional career. Remember to ignite your potential and stay tuned for season 2.